Good evening, everyone. This is Adrian Bridge from Taylor's Port, joining you this evening from a place called the World of Wine, which for those of you who've had the chance recently to come to Taylor's, you'll have seen is a construction site on the other side of the road. But it is a construction site that we are very much involved in because here at the World of Wine, what is being built is something that is truly going to be transformational for the city of Porto because we're creating a number of special experiences for guests that will help people understand about Portuguese table wine, about cork, and about various other aspects. And I'm right here in the central square. Behind me, actually, you can see the Bishop's Palace. You can probably see also the Pont Don Luís, and just over on this side we have the Serra de Pilar. And actually, if we pan all the way around a bit, we would be able to see a new restaurant going up, which is going to have stunning views of the whole city of Oporto. And so tonight, what I've decided to do is we're going to invite a very special guest, Diana, who's joining us from the Winerist. Diana is somebody who has interesting business that takes her guests to some of the very best wine regions of the world. And she has been, for over a decade, Diana has been coming here to Porto. So I thought it'd be rather fun to talk to somebody who's got lots of clients who are hoping to perhaps get out of lockdown and perhaps get to Portugal. Is that what you're hearing from them, Diana? Welcome.
Hi, so very nice to see you again. It's been almost a year. I think a visit is due. You see, I've opened a really good bottle for tonight's occasion.
That looks superb.
It's yeah, well, as you know, Porto and the Douro Valley in general has been one of our primary destinations for the past 3 years. It's actually been number one in 2019. So we're taking a break in 2020 and coming back towards the end of the year, and 2021 is going to be a brilliant year, I have no doubt. But it's, as you know, Porto has such a special place in our heart, and we have a very special relationship with it. So it's very nice to be there, thanks to you, albeit virtually. So tell me, are you where are you exactly at the moment? Are you right at the heart of of your exciting new project?
At the beating heart, which has been beating hard throughout this entire lockdown because of enhanced protocols they've actually been able to construct during the last 7 weeks that Portugal was in lockdown. Now, fortunately, our country is coming out of that, and we've had teams of people here working. And I have to say that the Yateman Hotel, which is above this site, as that was closed, the catering team at the Yateman were actually making lunches for the workmen here on this side. I think they probably haven't eaten such good food for a very long time. So they were all looking. And I think it was at the Yateman that you and I last saw each other.
Yeah, and they didn't have to book 2 weeks in advance either. So
this is perhaps true. Anyway, so I'm here, but you tell me why is this your favorite destination? Why are your customers wanting to come to Portugal and to come to Porto?
So one thing that is really interesting for us is the fact that it's not just for our, obviously we're a British-based company, so we're based in London, and the vast majority of our clients are from here, from the UK. But what is really interesting for us is that we're seeing a lot more clients coming from the United States, from the Nordics. And I think that the reason for that is because Porto in general is the gateway to obviously the Douro Valley. So most of the time when our clients do come to Porto, they want to visit Porto and the Douro Valley. But I think the reason for that is because Porto is just such a vibrant, accessible city, and I think that if for those who have been, they will understand it very, very easily. But for those who haven't been, I think and way in which we sell it is that it is a very, very nice, very, as I said, accessible city. That is the perfect break for someone who loves wine, loves food, because everywhere you go in Porto, you can have an amazing food experience. And also, is the culture. You know, you can have such a vast range of experiences, from, you know, going to a museum, to taking a boat ride, to having a really exciting food experience. And then obviously, you know, what you've built there in Porto yourselves, I think is really impressive. And that, as you know, we offer it as an experience, as an all-encompassing weekend experience, and it's a very easy product to sell. So thank you very much for putting that together for us. But you know, I would lie if I didn't say that Taylor's and the Gateman is one of the selling points, of the most exciting selling points. But I think Porto is just, you know, it is really unique and young and vibrant, and that is how we sell it to our
Well,
database.
I think those are very good words, aren't they? Young and vibrant. A little how I often feel, but I have to say, probably how this wine feels, because what I'm drinking here this evening is actually in your honor. It's a young and vibrant vintage port. So what I've chosen is, in fact, the Taylor Fladgate 2011. So this is one of our younger vintage ports. It's been in the bottle now since 2013, and I think it's still showing a huge amount of youth and vibrancy, and begging for some chocolate. But tell me, you talked a little bit about food. Tell me some of your favorite food that you enjoy eating when you're here in Porto.
Well, obviously, it has to be seafood. You know, because it's just such a unique place for anything that is seafood related. And as you know, on our last visit, we got really spoiled, and we had some pretty impressive food experiences. But you know, one thing that we really enjoyed on one of our previous visits was actually the street food culture. It's really great. And you know, if you're thinking about the range of clients, or the range of travelers that can access Porto as a city, you know, you can be a student traveling with your friends, and you can have an incredible wine and food experience simply by going to one of the bars and having something very small, like a sandwich and a glass of port, and then you can have a fine dining experience
I
if you want
believe
to
I
have
believe a
that too.
francesinha is what we call a sandwich here. Um,
Exactly, exactly. I have to say, I had one of those at 2 o'clock in the morning, and it was one of the best things that I've had in my entire life.
well, I think at 2 in the morning it'll probably give you energy to keep the batteries running for several more hours.
Definitely, you know, we had to. We were on a trip, on a research trip, so we
Of
had to.
course, always research.
It had to be done. So you know, I obviously love seafood, so for me it's always about that. But the freshness of produce, you know, and if you go into Porto, obviously is very special in that sense. But if you go to the Douro Valley, then you are experiencing food in a very different way.
Yeah.
Obviously there, you know, it's more traditional, it's more back to the Portuguese roots. It's a lot, you know, it's very much ingrained in how they grow the food in their backyard. So it's very diverse. And I love that about Portugal.
Well, I'm going to be heading up to the Douro tomorrow morning. Actually, I'm heading up to the town of Pinhão, which is very much in the heart of where all of our vineyards are. Obviously, I want to have a look at how this season is progressing. We've had pretty good weather conditions, but we keep getting a day of sunshine and a day of rain. Today, of course, was glorious sunshine. But in fact, and the forecast tomorrow is also more sunshine. But I want to go and see how things are doing. It's been an early season. And I know that the Douro is perhaps looking perhaps even more beautiful than normal, because at this stage of the year, we've still got the wild flowers out and all that color in the vineyards, all that greenness and all these beautiful wild flowers. So, in a May, it's pity that it's closed and people aren't coming to visit, but it should be open fully, and hotels probably in the Douro will be opening. I'd imagine the Vintage House in Pinhão will be open at the very beginning of June. So people will be welcome.
That's very positive, and you know, you can count on us to just keep on marching in the troops. to visit your beautiful city and region. Tell us about the opening that you have coming this summer. I think that's something that everyone is very, very excited about.
Well, you're right. People are very excited because I think it'll probably be transformational for the city because it is a huge amount of new cultural content as well as some exciting restaurant concepts. But it's called the World of Wine because here in Porto, it's really the capital of Portuguese wines, and I think this whole complex is not only going to celebrate great port, but it's also going to celebrate the great wines from throughout the country of Portugal. And I think that's one of the exciting things uh, about this city and this country is that in a relatively small place, we've sort of managed to compact in great flavors, great wines, lots of variety, and there's always a port for everybody. There's always a Portuguese table wine for everybody. So yeah, I'm right in the middle of it at the moment. Fortunately, the construction's managed to stop in order to allow us to speak. No more banging going on. But they'll be back here at 7 in the morning. Don't worry.
That's brilliant. And do you have an open date, or is that going to be kept a secret?
Oh no, no, no. We don't we don't want to keep too many secrets like that because we want people to come and visit us. We were originally planning beginning of July, but it now looks like as a result of the shutdown, it's going to be the end of July. So our anticipation is a soft opening on the 20th of July, and we'll have everything pretty much up and running by the beginning of August. So there's a inevitably with the global crisis that's been experienced, there have been some inevitable delays, but at this stage, the team here is working very, very hard to have this available for people from basically 1st of August.
And for the hesitant travelers, for those who are kind of in two minds about whether they should book their trip to Porto and the Douro Valley, what can we tell them to reassure them and make sure that they feel confident and comfortable with traveling to the destination?
Well, I think that's a very good point. I think there's really two sides to this. There's the issue of getting on airplanes and looking at what the airlines are doing with their protocols to make sure that people are safe. And I think increasingly we're seeing more tests coming forward, more opportunities to protect people and make sure that they're able to travel safely. I think when you get to Portugal, one of the extraordinary things about this whole coronavirus is Portugal reacted very quickly. We have an incredible medical system here, very good healthcare system. So we are at this moment in time one of the lowest deaths per million in Europe. I mean, and to put that in, it's terrible that anyone loses their lives, but we're at 1/4 of what's been happening in the UK or Spain or in Italy. And in terms of testing, I think we're the highest per capita testing again in Europe. So not only has Portugal historically always been safe from all sorts of other recent issues that we've seen around the world, but in terms of medicine, I think we're very safe, and we've got a very, very good medical system here in Portugal. So people should feel extremely confident about traveling to Portugal. And indeed, where I'm standing right now, we are 6 kilometers from the ocean. So we've got, beautiful onshore Atlantic breeze, lovely fresh air coming off the ocean to revive us and keep us all happy, and don't have to worry too much about some of these tragic things that are happening elsewhere.
That sounds amazing. And the crisis aside, if for anyone who's never been to Porto before and has never had the tailor's experience, what are the 3 things that you'd want them to book to make sure that they have the most memorable trip?
Well, I think they want to book themselves, perhaps their and 2 loved ones, and come as 3 people and enjoy this amazing city because there's so much on offer. I mean, what's so refreshing about the town of Porto, but also the Douro. You mentioned the Douro. This is the gateway to the Douro Valley. This is a region that is unique. There is nowhere else in Europe like this. There's nowhere else pretty much in the world. We've got a fantastic blend of an old town with historical buildings going all the way back to Roman times, and then we've got in the Douro Valley probably the most beautiful vineyard region in the world. So this combination of extraordinary history, of really welcoming people. I mean, one of the great things about Portugal is when you meet the Portuguese people, they're incredibly welcoming, they're incredibly helpful. Everyone speaks English, and it's really just a fantastic, safe, comfortable, easy place to travel. And and it's not too expensive. And of course, any trip is enhanced with a glass of port, but that's probably true anywhere in the world.
That's very true. Only that you have the port and distilled wine, so you're kind of winning in that department, I think.
We certainly are. Yeah, there's some great table wines being made here. Um, but have now tell us you've traveled up to the Douro several times. Just perhaps you can tell us your perspective on traveling on the River Douro. And actually, you've done I think some boat trips before. How was that? That's a different way to experience it.
Yeah, I've done a boat trip with some members of your family. That was really interesting and definitely memorable. But I think that for me, what one of the highlights was actually taking the train down to Pinhao. It's probably not an experience that is to be enjoyed by everyone, but because it is very long. But I do prefer it prefer to do that one way and maybe taking a car back, or doing half boat and half drive.
We
Um,
consider. I was going to say we consider the trip to Pinhao to be very quick these days. I mean, it's less than 2 hours by train. Whereas, when I first was, or if I think back 25 years ago, that was a 4-hour journey. I know it was always promoted as being one of the best railway journeys in the world, but it did take a little bit of time. Nowadays, it's a little bit faster. But of course, with the views that you have on the way of the river, of the vineyards, it's certainly a memorable train journey.
it's incredible, the views, as you've said, they're amazing, and even the experience of buying a ticket and getting on the train. It's quite unique, and we definitely recommend it. And then I have to say that one of my favorite things about the region is the fact that you can experience harvest. So you can experience harvest in a real traditional way. So you can do anything from grape stomping to grape picking to actually experience the winemaking aspect of things. So if you are a true wine lover and a wine traveler, then that is something that is a must. Now that Porto and the Douro Valley is opening up, I would say that the perfect time to book and experience something would be September, October. October is one of my favorite times to actually visit your city, and your region is
Okay.
truly spectacular.
Fantastic. Now, I've been drinking a glass of Taylor's 2011, which is, young, luscious vintage port, probably an exceptional one. It's going to way outlive me. But at this stage, it is, as we said earlier, sweet, succulent, and everything else. You have got a different vintage port there. What are you drinking?
So I am drinking a 1985
Fantastic.
Fonseca. So this was given to me as a gift. I've recently had a child, and I have been gifted a lot of wine to drink. So I've been enjoying some great wines, and this is definitely, despite the fact that it's a 1985, is definitely very much alive. It's a wine that I think has a lot of personality and a lot of character. It feels very, very vibrant in the glass. So even though I'm a 1984 baby, but 1985 is definitely something that is
Well, it's
is
still
something that you should be
succulent. It's
proud
full
of.
of youth. It's vibrant. It's all of those things from the people or wines from the mid 80s. So that's fantastic. But of course, what you're mentioning there is this idea that if you have a wine near the year of your birth, they still last. Ports last so long. So your baby was from 2019, 18, just
No, so
tea.
I have a 2020 baby. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
I've got a 2-week-old baby, and I've got a 2016 baby. So I'll make sure that I get some port for on their year of birth.
I was going to say, you're putting some pressure on us now to make sure that in the 2020
I am.
harvest, we come up with something very special for you. And I'm sure the team here will take that fully on board. And David Gimmerhines, our head winemaker, will be now losing sleep as he worries about making special vintage port for Diana and for all the clients of Wineries. So
Please,
that is
please do.
fantastic.
Please do tell him and give him a hug. And I'm really, really looking forward to seeing him very, very soon.
Well, I shall give him a physically distant but socially close hug, which I think is what we're now allowed to do.
Yeah.
But I know he'll appreciate your kind thoughts, and he's working hard with the other rest of the team to figure out how to do a harvest in the Douro without perhaps the ability to tread grapes this year. These are the challenges, and of course, with any challenge, there's always opportunity and solutions, and we've been looking hard at those. I think we're coming towards the end of opportunity to chat. So I just really wanted to say, Diana, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for all the work you've done to promote the destination of Porto, to promote the destination of the Douro Valley. We love your visits here. We love your customers coming, and we love your enthusiasm. So, I really look forward to seeing you here. Congratulations on your new baby. We will work hard at the harvest for you. And I'm going to raise my 2011 to you, and we can do a virtual chin-chin with your 85.
And best of luck with the launch. And do keep us posted. We're very excited to come and see you in a few months' time.
Thank you very much. Lovely to see you again.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.